Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I want to take you on a journey through one of history's most profound what-if questions. What if the United States had never developed the atomic bomb during World War II? How different would our world look today? To understand this alternate timeline, we must first return to the summer of 1945. In our actual history, the Manhattan Project succeeded in creating the world's first nuclear weapons. Hiroshima and Nagasaki fell in August, Japan surrendered within days, and World War II ended. But what if that tremendous scientific breakthrough had never happened? Without atomic weapons, the war in the Pacific would have continued well into 1946, possibly even 1947. The planned invasion of Japan, codenamed Operation Downfall, would have proceeded. Military planners estimated this invasion could cost hundreds of thousands of American lives and millions of Japanese casualties, both military and civilian. The ferocity we witnessed at Iwo Jima and Okinawa would have been multiplied across the Japanese mainland, where every citizen was being prepared to resist to the death. The human cost would have been staggering. Instead of the terrible but relatively swift end brought by the atomic bombs, we would have seen months of brutal urban warfare, widespread starvation, and the complete devastation of Japanese infrastructure. Paradoxically, more lives might have been lost in this conventional ending than were lost to the atomic bombs themselves. The human cost would have been staggering. Instead of the terrible but relatively swift end brought by the atomic bombs, we would have seen months of brutal urban warfare, widespread starvation, and the complete devastation of Japanese infrastructure. Paradoxically, more lives might have been lost in this conventional ending than were lost to the atomic bombs themselves. Without atomic weapons, the war in the Pacific would have continued well into 1946, possibly even 1947. Here's where our alternate history becomes particularly intriguing. The Soviet Union declared war on Japan on August 8, 1945, between the two atomic bombings. Without those bombs forcing a rapid surrender, Soviet forces would have had time to sweep through Manchuria, Korea, and possibly even invade northern Japan itself. Imagine a divided Japan, much like the divided Germany and Korea we saw in our timeline. A communist North Japan and a democratic South Japan, separated by an arbitrary line, perhaps cutting through Tokyo itself. The Cold War in Asia would have taken on an entirely different character, with ramifications that would echo through the decades. The Cold War in Asia would have taken on an entirely different character, with ramifications that would echo through the decades. Now, some might think that without the Manhattan Project, nuclear weapons might never have been invented. But this is almost certainly wrong. The physics was already understood. Scientists around the world, including in the Soviet Union, Nazi Germany, and Britain, knew that atomic fission could release enormous energy. Without America's first use of nuclear weapons, the nuclear age would have been delayed, perhaps by 5 or 10 years. But eventually, probably in the early 1950s, some nation would have tested the first bomb. And here's the chilling possibility. Without the sobering example of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, without humanity having witnessed the true horror of nuclear warfare, would leaders have been more cavalier about using these weapons? A different scientific landscape. The Manhattan Project did more than build a bomb. It created the template for big science, for massive government-funded research initiatives that brought together thousands of brilliant minds to solve seemingly impossible problems. Without it, the space race might have looked different. Computer development might have taken a different path. The entire relationship between government, military, and scientific research would have evolved along different lines. The entire relationship between government, military, and scientific research would have evolved along different lines. I want to acknowledge that this counterfactual raises profound moral questions. The atomic bombs killed somewhere between 150,000 and 250,000 people, most of them civilians. That is a weight our nation still carries. But in this alternate timeline, would the extended conventional war have claimed even more lives? Would a nuclear weapon first used in the 1950s have killed even more? Or would humanity have found another path entirely? There are no easy answers. History's what-ifs rarely have clear moral lessons. They remind us instead that every major decision creates ripples we cannot fully predict. So, what can we learn from this thought experiment? Perhaps this. The atomic bomb was never simply about ending one war. It fundamentally changed what war could mean, what power means, how nations relate to one another. It made human extinction a real possibility for the first time in history. Whether that bomb was dropped in 1945 or tested in 1952, whether it fell on Japanese cities or Soviet ones or American ones, humanity was always heading toward this terrible knowledge. The Manhattan Project didn't create that destiny, but it did determine how and when we would confront it. We live in the world the bomb made. And perhaps, just perhaps, the horror of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, as awful as it was, served as a vaccine against an even greater catastrophe. 2 cities destroyed became a permanent reminder that has, so far, prevented us from destroying ourselves entirely. That is both the tragedy and the strange blessing of the atomic age. Thank you.